Good evening, good evening, good evening, and welcome to the Spiritual Spa. Deep bow to you all. Deep bow to you all. We're doing our best tonight to really work with this technology and to make sure that it stays on. But you know the drill. If it goes off, just hang tight and I will refresh and come right in. So glad to see you. So glad to see so many of my spiritual warriors from the antiviral community are present tonight. Suit up, warriors. I know that you're out there. And to everyone else that's out there, so glad to see you in the house with us tonight. Toronto and Winston-Salem. Yes, so glad to see you in the night. We have some very important work to do tonight, looking at these family and generational patterns because it's a full moon. So anything that we can get rid of, we want to get rid of. Yes, we are here. Sweden, it's 2:00 in the morning. Bless your heart that you are up at 2:00 in the morning. Tucson, Akron, Philly, Myrtle Beach, Savannah, Georgia, Syracuse. Yes, good evening to you all. Houston, Hopkinsonville, Kentucky. Yes, Durham. Hello, baby. How you doing? Oh, it's so good to see you all. I'm letting people load in. You know, this is the Spiritual Spa, the place that we come to just kind of lay back and relax and do some introspection and reflection and some conversation. Good evening, Haiti. To look at and deal with some of the things that plague us all as we're going through life. We got a youngin' in the house. We got a 19-year-old in the house. Bless you, baby. You are welcome in this place. You're welcome, Boston. Welcome, East New York. Detroit, you're in the house. Yes. Maryland, Bluebell, PA, North Carolina, Illinois. Where's my Chi-Town? It's Brooklyn in the house. Antigua's here. There's Brooklyn. I'm good to go. All my sorors, all my AKA sorors, you are welcome here. And all of my Delta sisters, you're welcome here also. And all of my brothers, my alphas, you're here. Welcome. Yes, we are really working to try to get the signal strong enough. You know, everybody is online. They're doing everything online, from hula hooping to cooking. So, you know, our signal is weak, but you know the drill. If I go down, I'm coming back. Just sit tight. Yes, Chi-Town is here. Barbados is here. Queens, whoop, whoop. You're here. And ATL, Calgary, Alberta is here. And all my spiritual warriors, I know that you're in the house, and I'm so glad to see you. So this evening, we are going to take a look at a very important issue about healing or addressing family patterns, because based on with the blessings of the corona, I call it the corona, with the blessings of the corona, we want to go back out into the world in a different way, right? Austin, right? LA, Cincinnati, London, we want to go back into the world in a different way, meaning when things open up again, we don't want to be who we were. We want to be different, and we want to begin to address some of the challenges. So, you know, just as in any spa, when you get to the spa, what do you have to do, San Bernardino? What do you have to do, Guyana, South America? You got to get undressed. So we're going to get undressed, okay? And we will start with a breath. We just want to breathe. And settle in. Yeah. Gently follow your inhale and your exhale. Yeah. And we can regulate our inhale. Breathing into the count of 4, holding that breath for 2 seconds, and breathing out to the count of 4. So I'll count you in, okay? Breathing in, 2, 3, 4. Hold the breath, relax the shoulders, and breathe out. 2, 3, and 4. Relax. The mind is racing, that's okay. Use the breath to bring the mind into alignment. And we breathe in, 2, 3, 4. Hold that breath, relax the belly, and breathe out. 2, 3, 4. Excellent. Relax a little deeper. And breathe in. 2, 3, 4. Hold the breath. And breathe out. 2, 3, 4. And relax. And just be aware of your body right now. Check your shoulders, your arms, your hands, your back. Breathe into this moment. Come out of last moment or the next moment. Come into this moment and just be aware. And just listen. Just listen and just be aware. I want to share a thought with you. Take it in, breathe through it. As we begin to do our work tonight, I give praise and honors to my ancestors. I acknowledge their history, their story, their life that runs warm in my veins. Breathe in, breathe out. I give thanks and I am grateful for their sacrifices, for all that they gave, all that they did, all that they were, that allows me to be on the planet, in the body today. Breathe in, breathe out. I now give myself permission to live beyond the patterns, beliefs, traditions, behaviors, commitments, covenants, agreements made by my ancestors, whether they are conscious or unconscious, known or unknown, whether they are in full view or coveted, secreted, camouflaged. I give myself permission to release them into the light. Breathe in, breathe out. I claim freedom in my soul from all generational patterns, contracts, and covenants that no longer serve my highest and greatest good. Breathe in, breathe out. Just be aware, undressing from historical stories, undressing from generational beliefs, undressing from ancestral curses. Breathe in, breathe out. Relax into this moment, claiming your freedom, giving yourself permission to live beyond the traditions and histories etched into the fibers of your being, honoring your ancestors and claiming your freedom in this day and this time. We breathe in and out, and we come to this moment. Yeah. Welcome to the Spiritual Spa. Looking at family patterns tonight. Yeah. So, it's a lot. Let me tell you my story very quickly, because we've got a lot of questions and a lot of things I want to cover. And, we got a little bit of time. So, if you've read Yesterday I Cried or Peace from Broken Pieces, you may know this story. So just forgive me for repeating it. But we have a lot of new people, yeah? My mother was first generation Dahomean, born in this country. Her mother was born in Dahomey and brought here as a child. And my mother was a porter on the Pennsylvania Railroad. That's where she met my father. He was in the military and being shipped out. And she met him on the train as he was going to wherever he was stationed. I don't know where. And they had a little get together in the train. He went and served in the Army, did some time in Fort Leavenworth, came out, and wouldn't you know it, coming home on the train, there was my mother. And he and my mother got together. Yeah. And fast forward, they began a relationship. Now, here's the challenge. My father was married to another woman. So my mother was the other woman. So me and my brother were conceived, my brother and I were conceived in the midst of an extramarital affair. And my mother lived with my grandmother around the corner from my father and his wife. Somebody talk to me. Crazy is as crazy does. Anyway, my mother was also an alcoholic. And after she had my brother, 2.5 years later, she had me. So her and my father had a long-term relationship. It wasn't just a hit and miss overnight quickie, okay? She was a long-term side chick. Anyway, I was born. And when I was 2.5, my mother surrendered her life to breast cancer and leukemia. So I never knew my mother's story as a woman. So I grew up into a woman not knowing my mother's story, problem number one. Okay? Throughout my life, I had many challenges that I just didn't understand. Things going on in my life and the way I was. But there was always this thing that made me want to be different. Anyway, my first and longest relationship in my life was with a man who always had another woman. He started out being my good girlfriend's boyfriend. So I stayed away. You know, I followed the girlfriend code. But the minute they were finished, it was on and popping. And eventually they broke up and he went on and married somebody else. And then when they left him, when he left his wife and he separated, he and I were together. And then we separated and he went back to his wife. And then we got together. Suffice it to say that my longest, most intense relationship was with a married man. Imagine that. And it wasn't until many, 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 many years later, I must have been about 38, 39, when I met my mother's sister. And she told me the story of my mother and my father. And it just clicked in my brain, clicked in my brain, clicked in my brain. Mine was the other one, and so was I. My mother was, they said, one of the bands they had ever seen. To go back for 2 years. My mother seconds. Yeah. Hey, I warned you. Yeah, that's okay. Here we are. Don't panic. My spiritual warriors, you know what to do. Yeah, just when you know what to do. It's not even, there's nothing we can do with thousands and thousands of people on the internet. Anyway, let's get this work done. I learned that I had inherited ways of being and thinking and patterns from people that I had never even met, my mother being one. Yeah. So many of us did not have the privilege of growing up in loving, creative, supportive, positive home environments. So if you can relate to that, know that you're not alone. Yeah. And as children, we all have needs that have to be met because we're dependent in our early years on our parents and our caregivers. And here's the piece that they don't teach us in biology. The same way that you inherit your eyes and your cheekbones and your mouth and your hair and everything, you inherit patterns. You live in your mother's body. You come from your father's body. Yeah? So you're going to inherit not just the physical traits, but also the mental, the emotional, the spiritual traits. And then that becomes also emphasized by the environment, yeah, the things that they actually do. Now, there are those of us who had a very positive early childhood experience. These individuals, they grew up in a healthy environment and they may have healthy self-esteem and healthy self-confidence and will still follow the patterns of the people that they saw as children. However, as children, when our needs are not met, when we're neglected or abused, or we develop dysfunctional coping strategies, addictions, all sorts of things, they become the patterns that we live out in our life. And unfortunately, most of them are unconscious. We don't even know that it's working. We're not going to call them curses. We're going to call them patterns because they're behaviors. And the thing is, sometimes a curse can be lifted, but a pattern can be changed. Okay? A curse may not be lifted, but a pattern can be changed. Okay? So, what is a family pattern? I want you to be clear. It's a characteristic and qualities that go on within the confines of the unit. A family pattern can be a way of thinking or behaving or addressing interpersonal relationships that's passed down from one generation to the other. And it's passed down silently. It's not anything that you're taught. Some of it you are taught, but we're not looking at that. We're looking at the unconscious stuff, okay? This means that the same process, the same pattern, the same behaviors, the same set of beliefs, even the spiritual and religious traditions just go on from one generation to the next within the bloodline of a family, and then it becomes a pattern. Then you have those unresolved family patterns. And these are sometimes the causes of major diseases or emotional imbalances or health challenges or relationship problems, financial problems, interpersonal communication problems, because the patterns are so deeply unconscious that we do not recognize them. Everybody in the world around us is doing it. We don't recognize that they are dysfunctional. We just don't recognize. And this is when we're talking about abusive relationships or addictions, certain illnesses, over the top dramatic reactions. Most people are totally unaware that these are family patterns. And the roles that these patterns played in our lives as children will show up in the fabric of our lives as adults. Some family patterns are prenatal. They occur in the womb. I'm sure you've heard me say, what did you marinate in? I marinated in guilt. I marinated in guilt. My mother was the other woman, and she was guilty, and she was sad, and she was an addict. And she stayed with my father until she passed on. So these patterns can be very disturbing and destructive, and we seem to be powerless over them until today. We are not powerless over our patterns, but we have to be able to identify what they are, Your tendency towards certain medical things could be a pattern. Your low lack of self-confidence could be a pattern. Tendencies toward depression could be a pattern. Fear, anger, emotional repression, not speaking, poverty, self-sabotage, alcoholism, substance abuse, addictive eating, repetitive unconscious habits, knee-jerk reactions. All of these could be family patterns that the good news is they can be changed. Because these patterns, although unconscious, they can be brought to the surface and released, okay? So remember, habits originate, and a habit is a hard thing to break. For some people, a habit is like an addiction. So we have to look at the things that we are doing and what we're getting from us. And once we become aware of these issues and patterns, new choices can be made, but we must become aware. New information can be put in. The blueprint can be rewritten and recreated. Your internal subconscious material can be repatterned so that you can have emotional stability, different relationships, different approaches to problems and finances and everything. When we consider the traits passed down from our family tree, we can't just think of our eyes and our hair and our natural talents. Unfortunately, we get those things, but then we get some other stuff too. My Brillo story, I wouldn't use SOS soap pads even when they were on sale because my mother used Brillo. All I ever saw was a Brillo soap pad. So I wanted some SOS and I wouldn't do it, okay? So we want to look at how do we change these patterns. Now, let me just say this to you. There's no magic bullet. There's no magic bullet. It takes work, and you have to do the work. That's what you have to do. Now, I want to give you a few things to look at, to ask yourself, if you can then measure up with your life so that you can even begin, because remember, the patterns are unconscious. So you may think things are happening to you when in fact you are attracting them because of the track record in your aura, in your DNA. Now, I have a friend, his name is Tom Hines. His company or his business is called the emotionalbody.com. Tom Hines will help you clear the patterns. He does the work for you and on you so that you can clear the patterns, okay? I'll give you his information later, all right? So that if you need some help, go, because these patterns, they're not physical. They're subtle. They're in our energy field. They're in our emotional body. That's where they are. So you can do the work and you can get some help. How about that? All right? Let me ask you a question. Was your father present in your life? Was your father present? If you're a woman or if you're a man, doesn't matter. Was your father present? Did he provide for the family? You just look at that and then look at your relationships. Are the people that you're attracted to, are they present? I mean, fully present? Do they provide for you? Do they really step in and do what needs to be done? And do they see you? Do they hear you? Do they address you? It doesn't have to be perfect, yes, no, all the time, but just think about it. Did your mother really care for you when you were sad, not sick? Did she care for you when you were sick? Yes. But did your mother show up for your emotional needs? Just think about it. Were your parents affectionate toward each other? Did they have a healthy communication with each other? Or did they complain about each other? Did your mother complain about your father or the male caregiver? It didn't have to be mother and father. It could be grandmother, grandfather, auntie, uncle, foster parents, Just look at what you saw happening between a man and a woman, or a masculine energy, a feminine energy, because that was your first image of to be. So I said, okay, nope, now I won't be like that. But then we didn't know how to be. So we end up still being the very thing we don't want to be, okay? Did your parents complain about each other? Did your mother have to take on the role of the father? Was your father maybe not present or even there and maybe quiet? Because in a couple, you're going to get the macro and the micro. You're going to get the assertive and the less assertive. What were the roles that you saw going on between the caregivers, the masculine and the feminine? As a child, did you feel safe? Did you feel seen? Were you heard? Were you allowed to be creative or playful? Or did you have to take on adult responsibilities at a very young age? All of this stuff. How were financial issues discussed and addressed in your family? Were they even discussed? How were emotions expressed? How were they discussed within the family? Were you an only child? Did you spend a great deal of time alone? Were you a latchkey kid? Did you have a lot of time to do stuff on your own and make it up on your own? Yeah? So these are some of the things that you can look at to look at how your patterns. So to master our current physical reality, our mental, our physical, our emotional, our spiritual, to bring solutions from inside of ourselves, we really want to look at the patterns that we saw as children, not to judge them and not to traumatize ourselves, but look at what you saw, because the real work is to identify these patterns and to make different choices when you're in the midst of the pattern. That's how you break it. That's how you break it. Your bonding patterns. Imagine, I didn't know my mother, who was in relationship with a married man, and I ended up in relationship with a married man. Let me tell you something. If there was only me and a married man left on the earth, I wouldn't even look at him. I wouldn't even look in his direction. Yeah. It takes consistency and dedication to create a new habit. Here's your first step. Here's your first step. You must become self-aware. You must become self-aware. You must look at what you do and how you do it and remind yourself of where you saw it. You must. You must become self-aware. And we don't like to look at ourselves. That's just how I am. That's my personality. Oh, you don't understand me. Oh, You have to become self-aware. You must become self-aware. You must look at what you do and how you do it. That is the only way you're going to break a pattern. To break generational patterns, you have to be aware of your unhealthy, unproductive, dysfunctional, destructive patterns and ways of being. You have to look within yourself, look at your behaviors, look at your emotions. You have to do internal reflection and introspection. And the quickest way to track these patterns is in a journal. I know y'all don't like that, particularly the men. Y'all don't like the journal, but you have to do it. We're not talking about your parents. Dude, not talking about that. You're looking at you. So he provided food and a roof. That was it. He loved drinking. So you may have to be very mindful of alcoholic tendencies and also looking at it, being attracted to men who are emotionally unavailable. I did that one too. Emotionally unavailable. Men that I had to constantly prove myself to, that I'm worthy, give me your attention, and running and chasing them. But I had to know it wasn't about them, it's about me. So you have to become self-aware. And the way you can do that is look at the areas in your life where you're unfulfilled or unhappy and look at what you do in those areas. That's not about your mama. That ain't about your daddy, your foster mother, your adoptive mother. That's about you. You have to look at what you do. How you communicate. How do you bond with people? You know what was attractive to me about men? I had to chase them. If they wanted me, I didn't want them. I had to chase them because my father was emotionally absent. He was present. I tell you, I was 30 before I realized that I grew up in a two-parent household with my father and my stepmother because my father wasn't there. Okay? So, self-awareness. That's the first thing. I'm going to get to your questions, but I want to give you what you need to look. Then, Step two, you have to take ownership of your belief system. What are you believing about yourself, about life, about relationships? Do you believe what you believe spiritually because you believe it, or it's because you were told to believe it? What are you doing? What is your relationship with members of your same gender? You know, what is your belief system? And you can't say, well, my mother told me, my grandmother told me. What is your belief system? You have to take ownership of your beliefs. Do you believe life has to be hard because your parents' life was hard? Do you believe that money is scarce because your parents' money was scarce? Do you believe that you can't trust women because that's what grandma told you? Do you believe that all men are dogs because that's what your auntie called your uncle? You have to take ownership of your own belief system. That means, again, you have to become self-aware and start looking at and understanding what you believe in, why you believe it, and where it came from. And does the belief work for you? Here's one of my beliefs that I got, my money story. And that is that I have to work hard for money. That if I didn't work hard, work all the time, I wouldn't get the money that I needed. And I had to heal myself of that affliction. I don't have to work hard for money. I work hard because I choose to. But money can come from me from a variety of sources, okay? It don't have to be attached to my work. And let me say this, I know we've got everybody on this thread, but I want to speak specifically to descendants of Africa in this country and around the globe. It has been proven scientifically that it takes 13 to 17 generations to break a pattern in the line for it to morph its way out. 13 to 17 generations for it to morph out. That means that it's disintegrated unless some work is done along the way. If you are a person of color, that means you have the cellular memory of your ancestors who were slaves. The cellular memory. That's why more people of color are renters than homeowners, consumers than business owners. We're starting to break it out now because you see more entrepreneurs and more business owners, but you better believe that's in your genes, because we are only 5 generations out of slavery, 5, maybe 6. You have the cellular memory of being enslaved, and that's why so many of us are loyal to jobs we hate. That's your massa, okay? It's cellular. It's cellular. And we believe cellular memory. It's a cellular memory. You're not doing it consciously. Don't beat yourself. You are not allowed to own. You have to work for the massa. Can you hear me? It's in there. Now, many people have done the work, and they, because the people of color, African descendants of Africa, they also worked and they own. When you look at Rosewood and you look in St. Louis and you look at places, but it's cellular. They did the work to override it. They looked at their beliefs, and it wasn't even conscious. It was just that I'm not doing this no more, okay? Always have to work for somebody, and scared will sabotage your own efforts, fighting against the cellular memory that you have to be enslaved. Yeah? The belief that you can't get ahead, can't get away, because massa gonna chase you. And this is good for our European brothers and sisters too, who are on this thread, so that you can really check yourself about what you're believing. Mm-hmm. The other thing is, because of the history, the ancestral history, I want you to understand what's in your blood, what you're not even thinking about. That you can't get ahead, you can't own. Who are you? Who do you think you are? And isn't it interesting? I know as a child, when I said anything that was out of the ordinary of what everybody else was thinking and saying, who do you think you are? You really think you somebody, don't you? Yeah. So, beloveds, take ownership of your belief systems, okay? No beating you up, no blaming. Just understand that some of the things are so unconscious that we're fighting against. The enemy is enemy, but we're going to break that. We're going to break it, yeah? Most of what you think today, everybody, regardless of your race or your history, is modeled after what someone else thought, what someone else did, and what someone else experienced, yeah? And just because you use a different fabric doesn't mean it's a different dress. You got to get to the root. You got to change the pattern. Can you hear me? If you use the same pattern, you can move to the suburbs, but if you still got a lack consciousness, it's not going to change. So how do you change it? Here's your third thing. Start to travel. Travel and see the world. Travel and see different things, how people live. You got to break the pattern, move out. Because remember, again, particularly for descendants of Africans, we weren't allowed to. So when you travel, you upset your entire generational system. And you become more aware of other customs, of other social norms, of other ways of thinking. Yeah? Travel. Exposing yourself. I know people who are 30, 40, 50 ain't never left their hometown. Get in a car and travel across the country. Stop in little towns. See how people are, what they're talking. Go out across the water. Yeah? This is another way to do it. Yeah, I wish I could travel. You can travel. That's a belief that you can't travel. I've seen people on wheelchairs, on crutches, laying down flat. Put your pennies together and begin to travel. Well, you can get a cruise going anywhere today, but we don't want that, all right? Living abroad, it will change you, yeah? Just start to travel. And here's the big one. Here's the big one. This is about everything, okay? Well, you know what? Let me say this first. If you can't travel, read about other places. That's free. You can do that right online, okay? Read about something, okay? Here's the big one. You got to forgive. We got to forgive. You got to forgive your parents and their parents. You've got to forgive. Because some things are passed on without question and they've impacted you. You got to forgive. That is the other work that you have to do. Your careers and because you want to become a model for the next generation. I always said in my family, my children, my father passed, I had to bury him. My mother passed before I even knew. My brother passed, I had to bury him. Neither of my parents left me anything. And one of my mantras has always been, when I die, I'm going to leave my children something. I'm going to leave them something. That's how you create a new pattern. That's how you could, all sorts of things. Do you know single motherhood that can be generational? Repetitive incarceration that can be generational? Substance abuse, alcoholism, generational poverty, that can be, all of that can be generational. And when I say forgive, you're not forgiving the particular person. You're forgiving the pattern because you don't really know where it came from. Your grandmother and your great-grandmother, they did what they had to do to survive. And you may be still doing it today, not even recognizing that it's unconscious, okay? Whew. All right. You want to create something for the new generation. Start a new chapter. Don't always do things the way they were done. Don't always do things the way they were done. You know what a big pattern was for us? Christmas. Oh, everything, you could be starving all year long, but you had to have a big meal on Christmas, okay? And then the other days you was hungry, So what? And these holidays and getting the Easter clothes and all of that. Oh my Lord, you could just look at what you do. Let me look at some questions here, okay? I hope this is helping somebody. I hope it's helping somebody. Not to beat you up, not to beat you down, but to help you to understand it's cellular. And it is unconscious and it's energy. and it can be changed, okay? But you got to be self-aware. You got to look at why you do. Why do you struggle with money? In the wealthiest country in the nation, why do you struggle with relationships? Why? Look at it. Look at what you saw and understand. Look at what you saw, okay? I have a question. How do you stop being the glue that holds the family together? What did you see? Who taught you that? Who was the glue that you saw? And maybe you just picked up that legacy. We pick up positive legacies and negative legacies. How do you stop being the glue? Stop it. Let everybody be responsible for themselves, okay? You have to have clear boundaries. I'm the one that everybody's always turns to. So what is going on in your psyche that you have a need to be needed? You set it up that way. Is that how you validate your worth? By needing to be needed? Everybody turns to you and you get to take care of them so you don't have to look at your stuff? I'm just asking. I don't know any of this to be true. But I know if somebody was standing on your toe, just standing there, pounding their foot on your toe, would you let them do it? No. So why do you have to be the one that always takes care of everybody? And is it possible that they don't see you that way, but that you set yourself up that way? Is it possible, not that they see you as the one they have to turn to, but that you set it up so that you're the one you have to turn to? And who did you see do that? Okay, I'm the one that everybody always turns to, and it's gotten to the point where I want to be left alone to focus on my own family. Well, you can do that. You can do that. I used to do that. And I had the double curse. I'm the one that made it out. So if somebody needed bread or chicken or their light paid or their rent paid or whatever, they was coming to me. Now, these were the same people that told me I was stupid to give up my welfare check. But the minute I started making some money, they wanted some of it. And I did it for a long time because I was guilty until I said no. I tell you what I told my brother. I said, listen, you take care of your basics. I'll take care of your frills. You pay your rent. You want a beer, I'll buy it. Don't come to me for your basics. You get that handled. All right? Here's a question. How do you interrupt unhealthy family patterns so that my children can know a better way and respond to life? Excellent. You've got to do it different. But again, it all goes back to self-awareness. How are you going to change the pattern if you don't know what the pattern is? And once you become aware of your behaviors, your belief, your unconscious attachments, you have to ask yourself, why am I doing this? What am I doing this for? Is this getting me what I want? It's simple. In self-inquiry and self-introspection, okay? Why do you do that at all? You know, there was a period for my brother, for my family, I had to step away for many, many, many years because they were afraid. People will be afraid when you start changing who they think you are. Listen, did you hear that? Write that down. Put that in the thread. People will become afraid when you start changing who they think you are. And when somebody's afraid, they're going to do one of three things. They're going to fight you, they're going to run away from you, or they're going to freeze. Most of the time, when it comes to family, they're going to fight you and talk you out of it. So you might have to back up a little bit. You might have to step away. And they may get angry, but you don't have to step away and not be communicative, calls and cards and texts and say, I'm working on myself. There's some things I got to do, and I can't do it around everybody. I'll be back. See, that's what upsets people. Not that you leave, but that they don't know you're coming back. Let them know. I got to step out and do some stuff. I'll be back. I'm here. I love you. Okay. Here's a question. How do I get past the hurt of never feeling loved by my mother? I love this question. How do I get past the hurt of never feeling loved by my mother? You didn't feel loved. That don't mean she wasn't loving you. She was loving you the only way she knew how. Now, you can tell yourself it wasn't the love that you wanted and needed. You can tell yourself that. Or you can tell yourself, my mother didn't give me love the way I wanted it and needed it, so now I get to give it to myself. Okay? It ain't about your mother. It's about you. Here's something we need to know. God entrusted you to your mother. Her responsibility for what she did with you is to him, not to you. Let me run that by you again. God entrusted you to your mother. He didn't entrust your mother to you. He entrusted you to your mother. So her accountability for what she did with you is to God, not to you. You just need to be glad that she got you here. Be glad that she got you here. Yeah? Hurt means that you have an expectation that wasn't met. Do you know her story as a woman? Look at that story and find those patterns in your life, because unfortunately, we all become our mother sooner or later. How do you do what she does? Look at that and forgive it. All right, let me go to another question. How do I finally break free from the toxic people in my family and start the healing process? Well, number one, they're not toxic. That's a judgment. They have bad behavior, and you get to choose how you want to be in it. But the minute you call them toxic, dysfunctional, angry, you don't know their pain. People are just responding to their pain, responding to their history, responding to their legacy. So number one, don't judge it. Don't judge it. Don't give it a name. Just choose. Oh, that's how you love? Oh, I don't want to do that. Oh, that's how you live? I don't want to do that. I'm telling you, I had to move away from my family because people in my family were allergic to work. Except for my grandmother and my mother. They was allergic to work. They got up at noon. They had their morning coffee at 3 o'clock. I didn't understand that. And I'm like, oh, let's go. We got to go, you know. Okay. I've always been the one to keep the peace and make it. Why? What's the pattern? Who did you see do that? Where did you learn that that was your job? Is that the job you were given, or was that the job you took? And you can quit. You can quit. Have you ever quit a job? I'll teach you how to quit a job, okay? I quit as the peacemaker. I give up. I resign. Here's my resignation. Is there a severance package? I'm drained and have no more energy. Just want to spend time with my husband and my kids. So do it. You don't, what? Who makes your schedule? Who says what you have to do? But here's the thing. Most of the roles that we have in our family are roles that we volunteered for. We saw a need and we stepped in to fill it. Or we had a perceived need and we stepped in to fill it. We don't know what the need was at all. Did you volunteer for that position? Or did you fill out an application? And very often it's about control. In order to feel safe, in order to feel worthy, in order to feel valued, we step in to play a role. Quit. You don't have to do that no more. I gave up being the banker in my family. My middle name is Eva, not ATM. That ain't my middle name. My middle name is not ATM. Okay? Okay. So you can quit the role. All right? But here's the thing. Most of us won't quit our roles because we're afraid that they'll get mad at us. I don't know if there's any doctors in the thread, any health professionals in the thread. If so, can you tell me, has anybody ever died from being mad at somebody? How'd they die? Oh, they got mad. They died, just dropped right down dead from being mad. So they get mad at you. They'll get over it or not. We try to control our families so we can get what we think we missed. Or we try to control our families so that we can give what we didn't get. Okay? We try to control our family so that we can give what we didn't get. All right? So, if you're in a role that you don't want to be in with your family, quit. Quit. Sever the contract. Sever the contract. And then deal with the feelings that come up. Deal with the stuff that goes in. Deal with your story that you're going to tell yourself. Because remember, these patterns are generational. So it's not going to be just like, oh, I'm going to stop. I'm not going to do that anymore. And then you go, it's going to trigger up your stuff. And then that's your work. That's your journal work. That's your forgiveness work. That's your self-reflective work. Okay? That's what you have to do. All right? Let me go back to here. How do I heal from childhood trauma with no closure? I was adopted. I spent years looking for my birth mother, and I found her, but she doesn't want to meet. How do I let go and just not suppress the hurt? Well, give yourself permission to be hurt. Give yourself permission to feel it. And I want to say this as gently as possible. If she doesn't want to meet, it means that she made a clear decision when she put you up for adoption and she hasn't changed her mind. Okay? That ain't about you. That's about her. Don't make up what that means other than she made a clear decision to put you up for adoption. She did that and she hasn't changed her mind. That's not about you. But if you make up a mother's supposed to want a child and I need to be with my mother and you're going to cause yourself hurt and harm. That's her loss. Forgive her. Forgive her. Because maybe you weren't supposed to be with her. Okay? Maybe you weren't supposed to. Let me see. How can I identify toxic behavior in a man and a spouse? Sometimes I feel blinded by love or the feeling of wanting to be loved so badly. Well, see if it feels good. If how he's loving you don't feel good, then get out. Bye. Change the lock. Leave. You don't have to identify his pattern. Listen to me, Linda. Listen to me, okay? Listen. People's socio-historical patterns ain't your business. Your business is how they showing up in your life. And it don't matter where they came from or how they came or how are they showing up in your life? And are they willing to be different? If they show up in your life and they're not willing to be different, it's your life. What you gonna do, boo? What you gonna do? Okay? Because if you are living and staying with it, it's yours now. And if you don't want it, don't take it. Can you hear me? If you don't want it, don't take it. What do you mean his toxic patterns? Just see how he's loving. And here's another thing. When you're with somebody and their patterns start to show up and you make them aware of it, be mindful of their willingness to change. Because some people ain't willing. They don't want to be willing to get willing. And they can't get willing because they're unwilling. Do you want that in your life? I don't care that your father was an alcoholic or that your mother left you on the railroad track or that you were raised among the wolves. How are you showing up now? That's all I want to know. All right? He's always cheating. Well, who did you see cheating? Who did you see cheating that made you think that that was okay? How do you cheat yourself? How do you cheat yourself? Okay, look at that. All right, here we go. Oh, this is juicy. Did anybody get their help? Coach Laura, look in the question bin and see. You got all them questions out that question bin? Oh, that's what they are. Okay, this is a long story. I can't with this. I can't with that. That's what this is. Yeah, this one. Yeah, but somebody asked me. My question is how to deal with a mother who uses guilt when her adult children do not side or agree with her viewpoint. It feels like she's being a bully to get her way. She is. Can you love her anyway? Can you love her anyway? Ma, I feel bullied by you and I'm not doing that. And I don't have to agree with you. Come here and give me a kiss. Kiss me. Kiss me right now. Call it out. Call a thing. Okay? Feels like you're bullying me. What are you doing? Stop that. Yes. Say yes to the love and no to the bad behavior. Paul Farini, love without conditions. The worse a person behaves, the louder is their cry for love. Hear me. Let me run that by you again. The worse a person behaves, the louder is their cry for love. Say yes to the love and no to the behavior. Okay? I'm going to love you, but I'm not going to tolerate that. You can't do that to me. You can't talk, even your mom. Love your mom like a grown woman, not like a 13-year-old. Okay? Be in a woman-to-woman relation. You're my mother and I love you and respect you. But you know what? When you do that thing right there, that makes me feel bullied. And then I'm not going to. Are you bullying me? Are you bullying me, Ma? Are you trying to get me on your side? Call it out. And then laugh and go buy her something nice or kiss her or something. Okay? How do you, on the subconscious level, break the tape that you are not good enough? Girl, that's my drug of choice. You hear me? My drug of choice. Not good enough. That was my drug. I was shooting up every day. Shooting up every day. My drug of choice. How do you break it? I'll tell you how I did it. I did my I am work. I did my I am work for years. Everything that I thought I wasn't, I created an I am that I was. So I am good. I am enough. I am smart. Not even smart. I am intelligence. I made it a noun, not a verb. I am. I am courage. I am beauty. Because I was ugly. Y'all didn't know me then. I was ugly. I used to be ugly because my brother told me I was ugly. So I felt ugly. I acted ugly. I believed I was ugly until I got beautiful. Now I'm drop dead gorgeous. I did my I am. I am is the creative energy. I am will create anything. And then when you catch yourself, what do you do to prove that you're not enough? Because here's the thing about family patterns. Even though we don't like them and we don't believe them, we get into the behavior to prove that it's true. Okay? So you'll attract people that'll tell you, oh, that's not good, or they don't want you, or whatever. So what you have to do, beloved, is you have to become self-aware. What do you do to prove you're not good enough? Not only was I not good enough, I was unacceptable. Okay? A Black, poor, female, Native American in the 50s. Ooh, I was unacceptable. I had to lie about who I was, and I did it for many years. I lied about who I was. And I made up what I could do and what I knew and what I had, and, lying like a rug, okay? Because the belief was I wasn't good enough. So I was going to prove to you how good I was, okay? Identify your not good enough behavior. And when you catch yourself in it, when you become self-aware, change it on the spot. Oh, I'm doing that thing again. I'm doing that not good enough again. Let me stop. Let me just be still. And what I do, because it still comes up sometimes. I find myself, why am I doing that? What am I really trying to get here? Know what I do? I stop and I say, Holy Spirit, come. Holy Spirit, come. Right here, right now. Heal me in this moment. What do I do besides this? I'm telling you on the moment, because the Holy Spirit will respond to your slightest invitation. Okay? Yeah. And you have to believe it can be different. Remember, own your own belief systems. So when I started understanding that I was beautiful, people started telling me that. Now, let me tell you this. This was a sneaky little one. This was sneaky. Oh my God, it's 9 minutes. It's 9 o'clock. Can I have 8 minutes? Can I have 8 minutes? I was sexually molested as a child. So I equated love and sex. I don't know if anybody can raise their hand with me. So growing up, anything sexual, I thought it was love. Yeah. So I have no shame in my game. I tell you, I was a hoe. A hoe. Okay. Because I was looking for love. Yeah. I ain't ashamed. I ain't ashamed about it. I'm not a hoe now. I'm hoe-ish. But listen, this is what I want to say. So men would never say to me I was beautiful. They would always say, hey, sexy. That's how they greeted me. The boys in high school, men all over. You so sexy. You so sexy. Because I had equated love and sex. But when I started getting beautiful, when I am beauty, I am beauty personified. I am beauty in life. I am. When my I am started coming alive in me and I believed that I was beautiful, then people will say, you are so beautiful. They don't call me sexy anymore. The hoe is not running my life. Okay. All right. Let me do one more question. I got 6 minutes. Let me do another question. Okay. How do you say what you mean to someone that always explodes when you don't agree with them? Family members and I walk on eggshells. Well, that person's very brilliant. They've set it up so nobody will tell them the truth. They've set it up for nobody to know that. So you can walk them out of it. This is how you can do that. Can I give you some feedback? There's something that I want to say to you, but you got to promise me right now that you're not going to blow up. Okay, set them up. They have set it up so that nobody can tell them the truth. It's a defense mechanism. They probably have a core belief going on that they're bad, they're wrong, they're unacceptable. So they set it up so nobody can tell them the truth because they don't want to hear that they're bad, they're wrong, or they're unacceptable. So ask permission. Ask permission. And if they don't want it, then say, okay. But because I can't have a truthful relationship with you, I'm going to back up. Because I need to be in integrity with you. Okay? Mm-hmm. And you don't call them defensive. Just say, can I give you some feedback? Something I really want to share with you. But I don't want to do it if you're going to yell at me, cuss and scream and holler. Do you want to hear it? And if they start to yell and cuss and holler, then you say, wait a minute, you got to honor your word. You told me you weren't going to do that. Okay? That's what you do. All right. I got 3 minutes. Let me see. Good afternoon. My question is, how do I become fear of being the new me? Buy some perfume. So they'll smell you before they see you. Buy some perfume. Fear of being the new you. Are you comfortable being the old you? If you're comfortable being the old you, then stay there. Walk through the fear. Walk through it. And like I said, be afraid. Do it anyway. Buy some perfume so they smell you before they see you. And the new you walk in and say, how you like my new perfume? Mm-hmm. It goes with my new me. Yeah? This is what you got to do. Okay? I got 2 minutes. What I got to do? I did not finish my question. Okay? All right. You didn't finish your question. So I'm 39 years old. 4 kids, all in state care. I suffer from mental illness. I also have a lot of, okay, you're not asking me a question, beloved. Don't suffer with mental illness. Make a commitment to heal. How about that? Don't wear the labels. The ugly label, the not good enough label, the stupid label, the you'll never be nothing label. Don't wear that. You may be challenged by mental illness, but it doesn't have to win, beloved. Where's your I am? Call your I am into being. Call your I am. Yeah. Why a secret was revealed after 51 years and one of the family members is not. I'm going to teach y'all how to ask a question. You can't ask. What kind of question is that you asking me? How do I stop feeling guilty from walking away from all the family drama? So you didn't have closure and you didn't have an intention. You just walked away. And that's why. You cannot throw a loved one out of your heart and your mind. You got to make a clear, conscious choice and then follow through. Commit to your choice. How do you stop feeling guilty? Like this. I forgive myself for feeling guilty. I forgive myself for feeling guilty for doing what I thought I needed. Nobody's going to die. All right? Don't wear the label. All right. How do you heal from being sexually abused by a parent? Okay, that's more than we can do on the spa, baby. Okay, I'm not even going to, I can't give you a quickie thing to that. All right, I can't. I hear you. I was abused by a family member also, so I know. How can generational curses be broken in families? I just lost my husband in childhood pain. Again, self-awareness, own your own belief system, do your work. It takes 21 to 40 days of consistently doing something that will change the family pattern. 21 to 40 days. But you got to become self-aware. You've got to know what you do. Identify the pattern. Don't just say, well, everybody's broke in my family. How do you make yourself broke? How do you keep yourself broke? Don't just say none of the women in my family are married. What do you do to push away love? What's your relationship bonding patterns? How do you've got to really look and dig. And I want to say this, and it's not a shameless plug or a commercial. Please get over it. Thought Therapy for Healing the Hard Stuff. Yes, I wrote it, and you can get it on Kindle. Please get over it. Because in Get Over It, I identify the unconscious thoughts and then give you the prayer and the process to clear it. Tom Hines, thebodyemotion.com. Thebodyemotion.com. Set up an appointment. You need 4. Have him clear you. He will clear the energy of that stuff so that you're more empowered to make a better choice. And he'll work with you over the phone. You tell him I sent you. You tell him I told you to come. Tom Hines, like the ketchup, Heinz, thebodyemotions.com. Thebodyemotions.com. If you want to look and see where some of this has come from, he's booked all the way till June. He's booked till June. That's okay. You've been living with this for all your life. The other person is Ken Kaiser, but I don't remember Ken's stuff. I'll try to find it and put it in the replay when we send you the replay tape. I want to thank all my spiritual warriors tonight because y'all were praying and this thing did not go out again. Okay? Healing family patterns, cellular memory, okay? The belief systems. Take responsibility for doing your work. Take responsibility and get some help. Get some help. And don't judge. 3 a.m. in Sweden. God bless you, baby. God bless you, Sweden. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you got some help here. I hope you got some help, okay? Get over it. Get some help. Become self-aware. Own your beliefs. Understand we all have them. We all have them. Don't make yours worse than anybody else's, okay? And don't use it as an excuse to live beneath the truth of your being. I hope that we have massaged something good into you. I hope that you've been in the steam of this conversation and that you feel renewed and refreshed and enthusiastic about doing something new. I want you to walk out of the spa feeling better than you did when you came in because you know what you have to do now. It's about doing your work. Thank you, spiritual warriors. Oh, thank you. Happy Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to all of the moms and grandmas and big moms and Medias out there, all the yayas and the EIs. Happy Mother's Day to you. And I'll see you the first Thursday of next month. Next month is June, right? Is it? What is this, May? Yeah. I didn't know what day it was. I thought it was Wednesday. This is May. So June is going to be our final spiritual spa until September. We'll be off July and August, okay? So come on next month and I'll see you then and take good care of yourself. Pay attention to what you do. Pay attention to what you do, okay? Bye-bye.